is a desertion crisis spreading among Russian troops? Even Putin's new defense minister acknowledging Russia has to do something. I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. Let's talk about it. So the story here, first off, is that it appears desertions are on the rise. First off, among some of Russia's, most embittered folks or soldiers, including foreign mercenaries like the Nepalese. Supposedly, there have been a number of large-scale desertions by Nepalese mercenaries who claim it is due to ill treatment and heavy losses. Now, the report is that Nepalese mercenaries, recruited to fight in the Russian military, assigned to literally just a serial numbered unit, usually a sign that unit's not going to last that long if they're not even worth getting a name. And that's literally true. A lot of Storm Z units also have similar five-digit designations instead of lower casualty units like having names like, the 138th Combined Arms Army or the 6th Tank Guards. These Nepalese in this unnamed unit felt they were the subject of huge losses and brutally treated by their field commanders, including, shockingly, extrajudicial executions for refusing to follow orders. And finally, in the final straw, the fighters were not paid the money they were promised. As a result, of course, they went and deserted en masse. You can see all these wanted posters from the Russian military trying to find these Nepalese soldiers who in all likelihood are working their way home, right? As they point out, getting from occupied Luhansk back to Nepal is not easy. Nepalese citizens may face prosecution in their country for participating in hostilities against Ukraine as part of the Russian military. And as a result, the desire to earn easy money is a trap for Nepalese mercenaries with no way out, says the Defense Intelligence of Ukraine. Now, what I thought was interesting, of course, is that the fact that Russia, it can be understood that in a country like Russia, you're a foreign mercenary, you're going to get treated pretty badly. You're going to get treated worse than the Russian conscripts who are notoriously mistreated. But it's not just the Nepalese who are deserting en masse. In fact, according to one leaked Ukrainian intelligence report, Russia has had over 18,000 desertions this year. And this is just within the Southern Military District. This is from April 29th, right? The 8th Combined Arms Army fighting in eastern Ukraine has had about 12,000 of those deserters, 10,000 of which are conscripts, right, who are coerced in various ways to fight, and about 2,000 contract soldiers, which is interesting because conscripts aren't even supposed to be fighting in Ukraine. But what I think they mean by conscripts is probably individuals who are not... So contract soldiers tend to be soldiers who've completed their full course of military training and are specialists. I think conscript here refers to individuals who were given draft notices, who are technically part of the Russian military reserve, and individuals who were recruited to fight from, we'll say, low skill environments, primarily prison fighters recruited from Russian penal colonies. I think probably also like civilians who were kind of drafted in or signed up to fight in these Storm Z units. But you also have, of course, 2,500 soldiers from the 58th Combined Arms Army. This is an interesting ratio, and it says basically that there's a huge problem within the 8th Combined Arms Army specifically. The British intelligence, agreeing broadly with the UK or Ukrainian assessment, but this poor morale is just, Russia's just trying to offset it by scooping up even more personnel, right? They think that over the next, so in the Russian conscription cycle, which again, Russian conscripts not supposed to be sent to Ukraine, they're going to get about 150,000 new conscripts to join the Russian military, and undoubtedly, a lot of those conscripts, when they finish their term of service, are going to be very strongly encouraged by their commanders to become contract soldiers, right? So, And of course, in March, British intelligence indicated that Russia is bringing in about 30,000 new soldiers every month to fight in Ukraine. Again, they're using the word conscripting, but it's a little more of a gray area. This is probably a combination of conscripts who then become contract soldiers, of prisoners and extremely impoverished Russian civilians who get limited training and then serve in Storm Z units. Probably this also includes foreign mercenaries brought in from abroad. So I think this all indicates to me a diminishing Russian morale. And I saw a post that I could not find, so I wonder if it was true, but I'll share the rumor with you, was that Russian forces were actually handed a little leaflet, like a sort of notice from Russian high command that was like, "Thanks for fighting for the motherland. You're a true hero. As a reminder, desertion comes with a penalty of up to like 10 years in Russian prison and will impact your family's benefits. Thanks for fighting." It was really pretty weird, and I could not find it, so it makes me think that maybe it got pulled off because it wasn't real. But it seems it certainly has the vibe of something that is correct, based on what we've seen about kind of the Russian military apparatus. Now, if you are feeling exhausted, hopefully if you're a Russian conscript, you should probably try to surrender to Ukraine, right? You're going to fare better than being in Russia. But if you're just, tired, you should try some Strike Gum. StrikeGum.com, 90 milligrams of caffeine, 100 milligrams of alpha GPC, zero sugar, right? It's just a objectively better energy drink alternative. This has the caffeine of 5 energy drinks in every single pack. So check us out at StrikeGum.com if you want those veteran discounts and new customer discounts, or you can find us on Amazon. Just search Strike Gum Energy and you'll find us there. We also now have a 5-pack, so that if you're not really wanting to get the entire tray, but you also don't want to order just a single pack, you can get a 5-pack, which it's so new that we don't even have the photos up yet. But trust me, it's there at strikegum.com. Okay. Why do you think the Russian troops are so very upset? Well, the answer is the losses they've been suffering in Kharkiv are exceptional. And we've talked about in previous videos why the Russian army seems to be relying on a high-risk tactic of having very small fighting groups kind of permeate across the front line and then gather at key points and then conduct an assault. The problem is that when you travel as groups of like 5, that basically there is no military formation small enough for you to take. You are basically a walking target. 5 light infantry soldiers with no support. If they were to encounter a 3-man Ukrainian position, they would be unable to take it. It's one of the core problems. It's sort of fundamental to the military tactics is that units have to be divisible in order to function, or to maneuver, right? Because again, core maneuvers are things like in the U.S. military, we call it Battle Drill 1 Alpha. One part of your element becomes a support by fire, engages with the enemy and suppresses them. A second element flanks around and conducts the assault, right? There's also, I think, a version that the Marine Corps sometimes does where you have a base of fire, a bound, they become the base, a bound, until you've conducted a frontal assault on the enemy. But the core idea is that you have to have there's a certain minimum, right? Usually it's like 3 soldier minimums, right? So if you were operating as a 5-man fire team, you cannot divide that fire team further. You can't. What are you going to do? You really think you're going to assault an entrenched position with 2 dudes? Not possible, right? You literally can't even, 2 soldiers can sort of kind of secure their own personal space, right? Because you can get one, they can go boot to boot, sort of, in a true emergency. But anything beyond any sort of combat task, they're not gonna be able to do it effectively. So when you have this kind of reckless tactical choice, it makes sense that the casualties that are rumored to be coming out of this Kharkiv offensive are up to 70% of the attacks. which is preposterous by any military standards except the Russian military. There are rumors that the whole 138th Separate Motor Rifle Brigade and the 18th Motor Rifle Division and the 7th Separate Motor Rifle Regiment have all become combat ineffective due to high casualties. There's also some rumors that regular Russian units and their conscript Storm Z units are also contributing, where Storm Z units feel predictably looked down on by regular Russian units who have actual training, and that this sort of tension is sort of permeating across the military. You can see here, right, that this has become such an issue that even Russia's new defense minister has acknowledged it's kind of a real problem. The new defense minister Belousov said on May 14th in his speech when he assumed power that his main priority is to win the war in Ukraine. No shit. With, quote, minimal human losses. And he himself said, he said, at the same time, and I want to specifically emphasize this, with minimal human losses, end quote. That is really interesting. For the first time, we've heard Russia acknowledge that it's taken problematically huge casualties. Very, very interesting stuff, right? And an unusual acknowledgement from Russia. Again, officially, Russia's had something like less than 10,000 official casualties in this special military operation. So very strange that there's such a tremendous emphasis coming from the Kremlin on this problem. Anyway, guys, that's all I had. Of course, if you want access to videos of the fighting, my uncensored analysis is available for members on combatvetnews.com. Thanks to all the members. Like the video. See ya.